Let me tell you, if you want to feel like a winner as a gardener, just grow zucchini. It rained yesterday, so they went wild. So we're gonna harvest some zucchini. We actually have to have a bed to our extra bedroom, and I'll show you the worst spot of our garden, and we'll see if we can tackle it today. So I have to tell you, I'm actually feeling quite proud of our garden this year. So I'll give you a little update, but there is one bed that we have been completely avoiding. So we're gonna try and get that under control. We'll also head inside and make up our extra bedroom because we have a couple of guests coming this week, which I'm really excited about, but which is also why I need to get the garden done today, even though it is 91 degrees out and feels like 96. So it's not really the best time to be tackling the garden, but after the girls come, then we're also gonna head out and go camping. So we're running out of time. So it just has to get done. So tonight is the night to do it. So I think weeding is actually a whole lot like decluttering, and I have been putting it off, and I just need to do it tonight. So why don't we get started? Okay, so what happened with this bed behind me was that Tom weeded it when we tackled the garden earlier this year, and then nothing got planted in it. So it has gone wild. But what I want to do is transplant strawberries in there because we have all these strawberries that have spread outside of the bed. And I don't know if we're going to use this other bed for anything else in the near future. So I think it would be a good strawberry bed. So we're going to see if we can get this cleaned out and some of these strawberries transplanted in it. So when Tom and I were doing marriage counseling, we did one of those like personality assessments. I don't remember which kind it was, but I remember so distinctly, I'm a high like doer, like I always like to be busy and doing stuff, but I remember one of the things that really stood out was that I get overwhelmed by big projects. So I have a hard time looking at a big project that needs to be done and then seeing like the little steps to get there. I just want it to go away, or I want someone to do it for me or someone else to break it down, and then like I can do the pieces of it, right? And so that is totally what I was thinking about when I'm like looking at this garden bed, because I'm like, this is insane. Like this is so overwhelming and it's gonna take so long. And so in many ways it feels a lot like decluttering. Okay, so that's been 11 minutes, and what's kind of wild is that I was like, oh my gosh, I've gotten nowhere. Like this is taking forever. And then when I looked up, you can't quite tell from this angle, I'm almost halfway through the bed. And so I was like, oh Dawn, you're so silly. You're almost halfway done. So we have a lot. There's a lot of tall ones left, but those actually go kind of quickly because the weeds aren't very dense underneath them. So I don't know. Let's see how long it'll take to finish this up. All right, so I seemed fairly confident after 11 minutes, and then it actually got much harder. Like I couldn't pull out all the weeds. I had to use a shovel. So the first part only took 11 minutes, and then I think the whole rest of it took like 45 minutes or something like that. So I was like pulling out all the tricks. I'm like, okay, Dawn, imagine how good it's gonna feel to have it done. And I don't know, like don't just go 5 more minutes and then you can stop if you want to. And I don't know, I think the only thing that actually kept me going is that I'm like, okay, I'm already all sweaty, and so I don't want to have to come out again and get all sweaty all over again. So just like power through and get it done so that you don't have to come out again tomorrow. So yeah, so I got it pretty much wound up. I'm noticing the landscape fabric on the outside of it has gotten kind of ripped up and stuff, so there's tons of weeds growing through there. But we do have actually a ton of these like squares of landscape fabric. We had bought a bunch of trees through like the conservation, I don't know, county or something, and they all came with these. And so I have tons of landscape fabric, and so I think I'm gonna put some of that down and then put fresh mulch over it so that we don't have that problem again. But like I said, the real thing I want to do is to transplant strawberries into there. So I don't think I quite have the energy now to transplant strawberries, but having the bed this far, it feels really good. So I think what I want to do is head inside for a little bit, because there's a couple things in there I need to get ready, like I said, for our guests. And so why don't we head inside for a little bit, and then I'm gonna cool off a little bit and get some water. So we'll get some stuff done inside, and then I do want to show you how everything's been growing, because I'm like, our garden is actually looking really good. You saw the zucchini. The zucchini went wild. We'll harvest some zucchini. Some of those are going to go to the chickens for sure, which is okay. I don't mind giving them treats. I might have impulse bought a couple rose bushes, and I also have a question for you about our pumpkins because I don't know what to do with them. Okay, so let's head inside and then we'll finish gardening later. All right, take a quick break. We're so grateful to Allform for sponsoring today's video. Oh, and then, oh, it's right here. I'm gonna show you. I don't know if it's gonna come across. Oh, I think so. This is the comforter we're gonna put in the extra bedroom. We're gonna make up another bed. It's such a pretty color. I just washed it and dried it, was letting it dry. Okay, you know, we first got introduced to Helix, our mattress, 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in August. And then later on, they were like, did you know we have a sister company that makes sofas? And at the time, we had been looking for a new couch. And we were so thoroughly frustrated by the process of furniture shopping. It's fun at first, right? And then you get into it and you're not finding what you want. And it was hard to find something that would fit our specific space. And so we were just annoyed, and I'm like, this is not how I want to be using our time. And it was literally that same month that Allform reached out to us and said, hey, you can get a customized sofa. And so they have modular furniture, and you go online and you decide how many seats do you want it to have? Do you want to add a chase end? Do you want it to be a sectional? What color would you like for it to be? Do you want this material that is pet and stain friendly and cleans up super well? Do you want to have leather? You get to choose. Like, the option is yours. And so it was so fun to get to go online and pick our 3-seat sofa with a chaise end, and it's the color is teal, and it has held up so well. It's kept its shape really well. The cushions have really kept their shape. I know some people asked with the chase end. Apparently a lot of sofas you can't flip this cushion around, but with the Allform you can. And so then they said someone gets like saggy seat butt, like where the chase end is, because all the weight's down there. So we flip this around once in a while. We don't have that phenomenon going on. So it's really worked out well for us, and we are, I would say, heavy users of it. It gets delivered to your home, free shipping within the US, and then it comes, we've showed this before, it comes in small boxes, so it's very easy to bring in. You could bring it to upper levels, super easy to set up as well, and you get 100 days to test it out. And if you use our link down below, you can save 20% off your Allform sofa. All right, no rest for the weary. We're gonna go get this other bedroom set up, and I will tell you who's gonna be staying with us. So we had mentioned a few videos back that we've been doing respite care for foster care. I know we get asked for updates on foster care quite a bit. And so we've had an 8-year-old little girl come and stay with us every other weekend for a while, and it's been awesome. And I said it's caused just the right amount of discomfort to our family, I feel like. But it's been going really well. And she also has a 12-year-old sister, and so the caregiver needs to go out of town this coming week for the better portion of the week, and she asked if it would be possible for us to help out. And so we said, hey, we'll give it a shot. And we know normally the wisdom is to not interrupt birth order. I think it depends on the temperament of the kids, but kind of the general rule of thumb. And so because this is respite, we're making an exception for that. If it was more of a long-term placement, I can totally see now how that could cause some problems, but we're really excited to have both of them come to stay with us for a little bit, so we needed to add another bed. And so we have had this trundle bed here, we just needed to get a mattress for it. So we asked around and we found one, and so I picked up some more bedding and ran it through the laundry and just need to get it made up quick. And you know, I've wanted to talk more about foster care, but I was surprised at all of the pushback, not even just like online, it just in our own natural context as well. And so it's caused me to be like, I think maybe we'll just not talk so much about it, which also I go back and forth, right? Because for me personally, it's what I feel called to, but I know it's not for everyone. And so I think what I'm realizing is that the most important thing is that we just find who it is that we're meant to serve and that we're helping people. I don't know if we can live a complete and full and happy life if we're not helping others. Just in my humble opinion. And I got together with my friend Carla for coffee last week, and she has such a heart for seniors and helping those who need like assisted living or other assistance a little bit later in life. And I just love her passion for seniors. And I'm like, well, that is not me, right? But then others look at me, I'm like, foster care, oh my goodness, that's not me, right? And teachers and nurses, and there's so many ways that we can help others. And so I think it's just figuring out what specific people group like really resonates with me. Like, who do I have a heart for? And then finding a way to intersect our lives with them. I know it's tough. We're all busy and we have lots of stuff going on, but like I said, I don't know. I don't know if we can fully enjoy what we have if we're not sharing it with others. All right, so I will end my sermon for today. I think we have this room all set for them, and we'll head back out to the garden. Okay, now that we got that stuff done inside, why don't we spend a little more time on this bed over here? I want to get the sides of it done, the weeds all pulled out of there, some new mulch put down. And then I'm not actually sure if, I'm thinking we probably won't transplant the strawberries right now because it's going to be in the 90s over the next week, so it's probably not the optimal time to do it. So I think I'm just going to put some landscape fabric down to keep the weeds from growing back, and then we'll just leave that bed for now until it cools off a little bit. And we had shown earlier this year, we transplanted some strawberries into this rock bed, and they looked horrible at first. It looked like they were all gonna die. And then they all came back, and they actually produced some berries and look really good now. So I've been trying to water those a lot. So we'll probably just sit tight on that for right now. You know what else is actually kind of interesting? We always talk about, like, we're kind of like driven by dopamine. That's why sometimes we get stuck on social media or buying stuff or different things like that. But decluttering and weeding in the garden also give you dopamine releases that feel really good. But I think the key to it is to do small manageable pieces, because often we take on a big space and we don't make enough progress to be able to look back and be like, wow, that looks so much better. But if we pick a smaller space, like one section of your kitchen counters or one drawer to declutter, or one specific area in your storage space, and our goal is to just get that one space complete, and then we look back at it, our brain is like, whoa, that's so awesome. And especially if we take before and after pictures too, that can really help as well. So I'm actually kind of glad to have this all recorded for evidence of what I was able to get done tonight. I remember the first year we planted a garden, my mom was like, you only need one zucchini plant. And I'm like, one? Only one? And now I'm like, we only need one zucchini plant. So there's a couple I'm gonna take into the house that look really good and the right size for making zoodles, spiralizing them and making some noodles out of them. And then the really big ones, we could make like zucchini bread or something, but I don't know if I have the bandwidth for that right now. And so I think those are gonna go to the chickens, but they love them too. And then this is our second bed of tomatoes. You can see some of our cherry tomatoes here are almost ready, which is really cool. These, we didn't get the like A-frame built in here, so I wasn't able to trellis them. So I've just been staking them. But especially with these cherry tomatoes that like to go all over the place, it's not working the best. So I need to fix up some of these a little bit too. But I'll show you in the other bed where we do have the A-frame. And then I just run a couple of strings of string across, and then I can weave them through, and that works so well. But many of you said rotate the beds that your tomatoes are in, so I think we can still make like the A-frames, but then have it just so they can move from bed to bed. The only thing is that some of the beds are wider than the others, but I think it'll be okay. So I think that will be our plan for next year. But doesn't that look so good? It's so rewarding to garden, isn't it? And another thing I realized after our last video was that I did not prep the soil right at all. I should show you I got the book from Roots and Refuge, her gardening book. And so these tomatoes, I'll show you what they looked like before. My grandpa's friend Marv got them, and they looked so dead. Like, they looked horrible when we got them. And I was like, you know what, game on. I am gonna see if I can like resurrect these tomato plants. And so there wasn't sand in this bed, so I added sand, I added aged chicken manure, I added the garden tone fertilizer that many of you had recommended, and I put it on really heavy because I'm like, we have nothing to lose, and I just kind of saw it as an experiment. And these tomatoes, there's some weeds too, they have come back like so well. It's only been, I don't know, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, and they look awesome, and they have a bunch of blossoms on them too. And so it was a really good reminder of how important it is to make sure that our soil has all of the nutrients that it needs to grow the plants. And so I'm just learning as we go, right? But it was, I don't know, it was really fun to see that we could actually turn these around with having some really good nutrient dense soil for them. Okay, I'm gonna show you my rose bush that I impulse bought and ask you about what is going on with our pumpkins as well. And on the way over to what I want to show you, these are our cucumber plants, and they're doing really well. The plants are doing well. We haven't seen a ton of cucumbers yet, so I'm really hoping that soon we're gonna, like Tom and the kids are just waiting for tons and tons of cucumbers. Okay, so here is my experience with pumpkins every time we plant them. They bloom, they blossom, they trail everywhere, and we get no pumpkins. So I read about self-pollinating them, and it said how you have male flowers and female flowers, and you need to take the pollen from the male to the female, right? The only problem is I only see male blooms. And so is it that it's maybe not as obvious that some are female, or is it like, we have 6 plants. So I had heard like you could get all male plants or whatever, but with 6, is that really likely, or am I doing something else wrong? Because again, the vines are healthy, they are going all over the place, I've been watering them a ton, and no signs of any actual fruit forming. So if you have any suggestions about that, please let me know. I am all ears. And then right here, let's see if we can see it. Oh yeah, from this side. This is the rose bush that I got. We were at the garden center. Well, I was at the garden center by myself, and I saw it. It was so pretty. And so I got that. Roses can be a little bit difficult to grow here, so I'm gonna cover it in the winter, and we'll see what happens with that. I probably haven't been watering it quite as much as I should, so I'm gonna try and do a little bit better with watering it. Our pepper plants are also doing really well too. But thanks for hanging out with me today, and I actually needed the accountability and the motivation today. You're not alone if getting started, birds are so loud. You're not alone if getting started is the hardest part. Like, that's the hardest part for so many of us. Or if you're wired like me and big projects completely overwhelm you, like if you look at a storage space and you're like, where would I even start? I totally understand. So start at the beginning of the room, at the door. Look for trash, easy stuff, like Dana from A Slob Comes Clean would say. Just look for the easy stuff and refamiliarize yourself with what's in there, and then just get started and set the timer, do whatever you gotta do. But it is amazing how good it feels, because that bed had actually been taunting me for a long time, like every time I come out here to work, right? And so it feels really good to have it done, even though it did take longer than I thought that it was gonna. And the chickens are fully enjoying the zucchini, so I guess it's okay that I let some get overgrown, so it all works out. All right, well, I hope you have a really great weekend. I love you, and I'll see you again soon.